Hi everyone, it's David Wheeler at Wycombe Wanderers and you're listening to the Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Hope you had a fantastic Christmas and Boxing Day, of course. If you went to the Exeter game, obviously disappointing result. Looking ahead to Leyton Orient, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield in this hour as well. Thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex Players Association, we'll bring you a compilation of some of the, most in fact, nearly all of the former Wycombe Wanderers stars who we've spoken to this season so far, including many who we've been marking the 30th anniversary of gaining promotion to the Football League. That's coming up. Also, we'll be catching up with Craig, who's got the latest from Wycombe Wanderers Women for us as well. But first, very pleased to welcome to the studio Bob, who is the chairman of the Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Trust. Thank you so much for coming in, and we'll explain why you're here in a couple of moments' time. But first, obviously, it's a really important time for the trust, and you're newly elected chairman yourself.
Yes, took over 1st of December from Nigel Kingston. Big tribute to him for all the hard work he did. And I've sort of agreed to take it on the basis that we're being in slightly less choppy waters now. So happy on that basis, as it were, to be captain of the ship for a while. But I am supported by 6 other board directors and very pleased that that is the case.
And Rob Cooig, obviously someone who you liaise closely with as well.
Yeah, get on really well with Rob. Obviously, he's over here at the moment. Be interesting to see what he's thinking about all the seeming lack of form at the moment. But I'm sure he's keeping a positive note about things. And, yeah, I'll have a good relationship with him and hopefully continuing on with the good relationship that he has with the Supporters Trust.
And obviously, as mentioned, that the Trust has a real key part to play in the sort of the future of the club as well, and obviously the ownership too.
Yeah, less so than we did have, because as you know, we had our share diluted from 25% to 10%. But the great thing about that is that we no longer sort of, as it were, have that sort of Damocles hanging over us whereby we might be asked to contribute via a cash call. We're immune from that for the future. So that 10% share, we maintain that. We still have 2 directors representing the Supporters Trust, the supporters on the main club board. And we also represent the fans in terms of the contributing to the way that the club is run, and through those board directors on the main club board from the trust, we can have an influence on the way the club is run. And also, crucially, we of course, the supporters still and forevermore, hopefully, we own the Adams Park Stadium 100%. That's 100% owned by the supporters, and I think that's pretty unique in football in all 4 divisions.
And really nice to kind of shine a light, if that's the right expression, on the great work the Trust does on the club, because I guess a lot of fans don't get to hear or see about it.
Well, we've got 1,500 or so members now, young and old. We want to attract more. We feel that it's an important part of the club. I think it helps maintain and continue the community, family aspect of the club. We would like to see more of the existing supporters join the trust, obviously, but also it's another example really of that Wycombe doing not only what goes on the pitch, but also away from the actual main football action. There's the trust also looks after the women's section, and I know you're going to be hearing from Craig later on. But we also have a liaison, for example, with the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation. We do lots of other work within the community, and it's all a way of spreading the word that, you know, Wycombe Wanderers is not just for football fans. It's there for the whole family. It's there for the whole community, and you know, the more people we can get along to games and sort of help grow the club and continue its success. I know there's a bit of a blip at the moment, but overall the trajectory is on the up, and the trust is a very important part of that sort of umbilical, if you like, with the local community and maintaining that spirit that we've had even since the non-league days when I first started going to Wycombe, whereby we're seen as very much an integral part of the community and part of the Wycombe Wanderers family, very much a family club.
I think that's something that really stands out, isn't it? Especially, you know, in more recent times, going to the playoff final and just like the whole town getting behind the club, and as you say, a real sense of community, especially during the pandemic as well. Yeah,
I think I was originally recommended to go along to Wycombe 30-something years ago when my lad was about 4 or 5, when I was a kid, I supported Leeds United. Don't shout it out too loud, but at the time they were the sort of the Man United or Liverpool of their day. But when my son came to a certain age, I thought, well, I can't inflict that on him. And I wasn't going to go up to Leeds, but we thought about going to QPR, as so many people do, go look at a bigger club up in the smoke, as it were. But a neighbour recommended going along to Adams Park, and we came along, loved the atmosphere there, loved the sort of friendliness of the place and the fact that it didn't feel like, the players were detached and apart from us. They were very much there. You could go up and talk to them. I remember when we won promotion to the Football League, the picture on the front of the Bucks Free Press was a picture of my son with Jason Cousins, sort of slightly bewildered, sort of 4 or 5 year old he would have been at the time, sort of touching the trophy that sort of went us up. And I can't think there's many places you could go to with your young boy, lads and their dads, and have that kind of memory. There's been so many, whether it's, I think the one that really stands out in my mind is the sort of FA Cup run, when we went to Selhurst Park and the Wimbledon game, and I can't remember, it was, 10 all on penalties and, last gasp equalisers and, penalty shootout and everything else. And I remember I knew you'd gone to a good game with that game because I ended up sort of cuddling and jumping up and down with an old chap next to me. And to this, I've never seen him before, I've never seen him since, but, jumping up and down, hugging some strange man and crying. And my lad was crying as well. It was a great day. Similar scenes at Leicester. I could tell you another story about that because we ended up in the Leicester end, but that was fine, and it was right in front of the Roy Essendale goal. The League Cup run. There's been Wembley. There's been so many memories, so many fantastic times over the years, and I look forward to the next run of form where we have those sort of memories to build on again.
And how did your involvement with the trust start?
Oh, that's a question. I think it was when I sort of was coming along and I saw that they were looking for people to stand for the board. At the time, I was sort of thinking about sort of winding down my TV career because I worked in television for 30-something years, and I was looking for something else to sort of get stuck into. So it felt like, one of those things where you sort of put up or shut up, and I thought, well, why not? So I remember speaking to Trevor at some length, Trevor Stroud, the then chairman and owner, and then he sort of encouraged me to stand, got elected, and then, of course, we had the whole sort of ownership thing because the club was 100% owned by the supporters then, but was in a spot of financial bother, was losing best part of £1 million, say, a year. And it couldn't go on like that. So the task was there to have to try and find new investment, and that's what we set out to do. And under the sort of captaincy of Trevor, we managed to do that very successfully in the end with the Couigs coming in.
So tell us a bit about the QBC monthly draw.
Well, we've been doing this now. Gosh, Alan's not here today because he's a bit poorly. He's been taken off to hospital with a poorly eye, but I hope he's listening. But I think it's about 2 and a bit years that we've been doing this now. It's raise money for the trust. The trust raises money for 2 main reasons. One is to make sure that there's a kind of like a fighting fund should anything ever go wrong at the club, heaven forbid. But it means that we've got the stadium and we've got a bit of a sort of an financial insurance policy to sort of continue a professional a team in Wycombe. But also it's to pay money to the club for fan-facing projects, whether it's sort of refurbishment of the toilets, whether it's better kiosks, could be contribution to painting around the stadium, that sort of thing, which obviously goes on as well with our volunteers that also come under the trust. So projects that sort of enhance the matchday experience at Adams Park, but also to make sure that should anything go terribly wrong, there is a bit of a fighting fund up there so that Wycombe Wanderers could start up again the very next day, bearing in mind that we also own the stadium. So, yes, the QBC raises money for that. We're now up to, we sell about sort of 1,300 balls for the Quarters Ball Club. And the way it works is that 50% of the takings goes to the fundraising part of the trust. Then 40% is the guaranteed amount that is won by that month's the owner of the ball that is drawn from the bag, which we're going to do in a moment. And then 10% of the money taken goes towards the rollover fund. And if the jackpot isn't won, the jackpot is won because we have a quarters ball. You can't see it on radio, but we have a quarters ball, blue, the light blue and dark blue quarters. That goes in the bag. If that is drawn first, then the jackpot is won. So at the moment, with all the rollovers we've had, the jackpot is standing at £7,000 and something pounds, I think.
£7,044.60,
which is quite a sum amount. If the blue ball isn't drawn first, then the first orange ball that's drawn out, the winner of that gets a guaranteed amount, which is over £900 this month, £922.40 from memory.
That is correct, yes. And in a perfect illustration of the comedy rule of three, where you create a pattern and then you break it with something unexpected, to do the draw in recent times, you've had music and star of stage and screen Suzanne Shaw, who's also in the Panto at Wycombe Swan, Paralympian Naomi Riches, and then the Wycombe Wanderers Show is very proud to be next. Who have you got in future, do you know?
Well, it's a question of sort of getting out the context, but I mean, I was lucky enough to do, if some of your listeners are old enough like me to remember, the original sort of pop reality show before X Factor and The Voice was a show called Pop Stars, which created the band called Hearsay, and Suzanne was in that, and I was the executive producer of that. So, and she's local. My daughter babysat for her when she was living in Hazelmere. And
it's very showbiz.
Yeah, well, sorry, it's a bit kadunk. It doesn't need to be. But Suzanne's a dear friend, and her husband's also into himself. He's a commercial director down at Plymouth Argyle, so very much in the football family. So that was someone who I knew. Naomi came to do the sort of prize giving, or sports prize giving, which we had last year at earlier this year at Wycombe High School, which is where in my sort of reluctance to sort of retire completely, I've been sort of helping out at Wycombe High School, and we created their Wycombe High TV, which is Britain's only student-led school TV channel. And Naomi came along and did the prize giving for that, and so she's a Marlow-based gold medalist, Paralympic rower. She seemed an obvious choice to sort of do the next one. I've asked Vernon, because he lives here again. I know Tess and Vernon really well from our Beaconsfield days, and Tess and I worked on shows together in the past. And there's a few others to sort of to go at. Sort of, there's quite a rich area around here in terms of celebrities to sort of ask to take part. But if anyone wants to sort of follow in the footsteps of your good self, then a hard act to follow. Yes, I know, but why not? Let's go for it.
Fantastic. So yes, you have explained how it works. So do I need to do my delving and mixing up the balls?
Yeah, I'm actually going to video this if that's okay.
Of
so
course.
Hopefully I won't be too far off the mic. But yes, so Colin, I'm going to come round you and make you a TV star as well as a radio star.
People say I have a face for radio, so I'm sure you can work on this.
Well, if you pardon the expression, there's the bag of balls.
There is a bag of balls.
Grab that. So you're not too far away from the microphone.
Can you hear the balls?
And if you'd like to give them all a big shuffle.
Shuffling the balls. Good. Oh, yes.
Yeah, deep down, so we don't complaints.
That's a good shuffle.
Okay, and then here...
the quarter ball.
...is the magic quarters ball, hence the name, QBC, Quarters Ball Club. And there we are. See, light and dark blue quarters. Doesn't really work for radio, but a video will be on the Trust website shortly. And if you'd like to then put that in the ball, in the bag...
I think Suzanne and Naomi have done this as well.
Out, and then put your hand in again, give a big shuffle round.
This is real drama, this bit. We should have more of a sound effect, shouldn't we, have them?
Well, hopefully this is picking up in somewhere. Oh, you pick one out. Okay, that'll do. The number is, let's have a look at that, 227. Do you want
227, yes. 227. It's an orange ball.
Fantastic. Thank you, Colin. Now, I think what we're going to do, if with your permission, I'm going to get hold of Alan, who hopefully isn't still in hospital.
Yes.
He's got the spreadsheet with all the people's details on it, and if you are in the draw at 227, you might want to get near your phone now, because we're going to phone you. Hopefully we can or well, who knows, but let's surprise you with the fact that you've won. What was the amount again? £922.40.
That will certainly have made someone's Christmas/New Year.
Thank you, Colin.
Hopefully we'll speak to the winner in a couple of moments' time here at Wycombe Sound. Second part of the Wycombe Wanderers Show still to come. We'll hopefully be chatting to the winner of the QBC monthly draw. This will be fun, won't it? Extra glamour and showbiz. On the show this evening, we'll hear from Craig from Wycombe Wanderers Women. They've got some new fixtures released, and we'll bring you news of the second part of their season as well. We'll chat more to Bob as well, who's the chairman of the Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Trust. We'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield speaking after the game at Exeter on Boxing Day and looking ahead to the trip to Leyton Orient tomorrow night. Quite exciting, isn't it, doing a show on the eve of Wycombe Wanderers when the next action. But first, if you're a regular listener to the show, you'll know that each week, almost without fail, thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex Players Association, we speak to a former Wanderer who has played perhaps in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, or even perhaps more recently. And since the start of the season, we've spoken to quite a few.
I think what made it unique was obviously the timing of the goal. You know, people go long times and score goals. I think it was Lloyd Doyley. I think it went for, I can't remember how long, but he went for years without scoring, and they scored a goal. But I think it was just like the occasion, the sending off, the ebb and the flow of the game. Obviously, me not scoring. It was the last kick of the game. It just all kind of rolled into that one, just made it even more special, I think. And then obviously there was the T-shirts that kind of needed to be remade after the Exeter game when I went and scored again, which was quite funny, kind of ruined the club's idea of, you know, making all this money from selling T-shirts. And then obviously, it's something that everybody pulls me about who's a Wycombe fan, and even sometimes not even Wycombe fans. I've got a couple of Carlisle fans that always come up to me and they tell me about that goal as well. So it's kind of like etched into folklore, I suppose.
Sutton United away from home is definitely one of my top 5 games as a manager at Wycombe, and maybe even higher up than that. We had the experience of beating Kidderminster a couple of years earlier in the FA Trophy, and we desperately wanted to get back to Wembley. We're in the semi-final. We didn't play well in the first game. They beat us at Adams Park, but the crowd itself, our supporters, turned out in big numbers. The stadium was packed to the rafters at Sutton, and the players were so up for the game that you knew in the dressing room beforehand that we would do it. Matty Crosby scored twice, and we were absolutely fantastic. Of course, Keith got them back from injury. That was a big plus for us. And that day, that afternoon, was something I would never forget. It was really great. And then to go on to win at Wembley then and complete the double was terrific.
I've come across Brian because of his situation at Bisham Abbey. I got into the England squad and Great Britain squad, and we went there to train it felt like every other day, to be honest. But we trained there, and I got to know him from that. And then when things started to get to deciding where I really wanted to end up, I thought, I was impressed by his performance at Bisham Abbey. And then at Wycombe, they started to look at the business, so it was great to go there.
The thing I remember from the promotion season was actually the rivalry with Yeovil at the time. And, they seemed to like to beat us. I think we had them in a cup competition. I think they beat us home and away. But we ended up being about a fair few points ahead of them, didn't we? 100 and something points. I remember us being relentless. I remember us going to places and being absolutely relentless and so much better than everybody else. And I remember playing some players that played that season against us. Les Ferdinand played for Hayes against us that season. Ian Dowie played that season for Hendon, I think, against us.
I remember feeling that, oh, blimey, this is easy, without sounding arrogant. It was a different level, obviously. I'd come from second division and then Carlisle and then down to Blackpool in the third division. So I think we played someone like Maidstone at home and I scored in a friendly. I think that's the only real memory other than getting thumped at home by, I think it was Barnet on the sloping pitch. And that was a bit of an eye-opener, to be honest.
I never got tempted away. I was a little bit unfortunate getting injuries during that period. I'm pretty sure if I'd have stayed fit and clear of injury, I might well have moved on and played at a different level and for a different team. But my circumstances over my 17-year journey were that every time my contract was due for renewal. I was happy to sign it. They were happy to offer me one. Wycombe were happy to offer me one. And I just felt that it was a sort of a marriage made in heaven in some ways. I was fairly local. I was living in Amersham when I first started playing for Wycombe. And then when I moved out of my parental home, I was local all the time. And it's just been a really good coming together, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
I think we played Walthamstow Avenue when Jim Lewis was playing, the old Jim Lewis was playing centre forward for them. And the one thing I do remember is that Walthamstow went down the field, Jim Lewis got the ball, whacked it past, I think Ken Brown was in goal at the time, past the goalie, hit the metal stanchion at the back of the net, and Ken caught it. He thought it had hit the bar, he threw it out, and play continued, and the ref didn't realise it had gone in the net. And all of Walthamstow players were going mad. We went down the other end of the field, and I believe it was Len Worley scored a goal. And that sticks in my mind like anything.
It was definitely, I'd like to say, a family-orientated club in terms of, it wasn't just about, like I say, we had such a good connection with the fans, with ourselves. And like I say, off the pitch things that we did, the team building things we've done. I've done them probably in pre-season before, but never throughout the season. We went to France and all them kind of things, but we carried it on, and it was really, really good. And I think it did help. It absolutely did help. And like the young lads coming into the changing rooms and all that kind of stuff, it can be a little bit nervous, and you want to try and make them feel as relaxed as you can. And I'm sure Blooms is carried on that trend in his own managerial style, because I know if I ever go on and lucky enough to become a manager, I know it's something that I'll take forward with me.
And weirdly enough, when the first time he went, Martin, the gaffer, I shouldn't call him Martin, the gaffer said, enjoy it, because you don't know when it's going to happen again. And I enjoyed the second one more than the first one, because the first time, obviously it was a Twin Towers, then it wasn't as it is now. It's a magnificent stadium now, but I think then it was iconic. And then the first one in '91, as you come out, all you saw was a little bit of blue. And then as you got closer, it just went bigger and bigger and bigger. And they were the things that stuck out in '91. But the game was just, it was gone. Whereas in '93, when we went there, you could take it all in a little bit more. We went to Wembley again, but you took everything in. So it was a more enjoyable moment.
The other thing that we don't talk about too much is Adams Park. When we moved from Lokes Park to Adams Park, the fact that we were moving from a pitch that was on a gradient next to a hospital to a flat pitch, that it was almost like moving to Wembley as our own stadium. And to be fair, the pitch 90% of the time was in fantastic condition. And I'm sure that played a part in the way we played, because we enjoyed playing football as well. And the players that we had who were pushing forward were great at having great services to provide and score goals.
I remember one game, I think we lost at home Northwich Victoria, and I gave the ball away and they scored their goal. And I remember walking in the dressing room after the game, and Steve Wolford came up to me and said, you better go and apologise to the gaffer, Martin. And I was like, what? He said, no, do yourself a favour, go and apologise. Because he said, why did you, and that's fine. I went in and knocked on the door and I spoke to Martin, and he explained to me, and I said, look, Martin, I should have made a better decision, made a better choice in such a crucial point of the game. And, sometimes I think back, I think maybe that's what got me the cup final place.
Heidi was one of my best pals. He's an incredible goalkeeper, probably the best I've seen in my career. And that's saying something, to be honest. But he was an outstanding guy as well. Just a big sense with him, which attracted me straight away. But the only one time that I actually went out with a guy, because I probably haven't told you this, but my nickname was Pilot Lad, because I never went out. I was a family man, basically. But eventually they got me to go out with them, and Heidi was my minder, if you like. So, because he's a big guy. Always choose the big guys to look after me on a night out.
Going professional was a big step in my life, and it really changed things. I mean, we had by winning the conference, we had a football tour to Saloraki in Greece, on Rhodes, and we all bonded out there again, and everybody decided to sort of like stay along at Wycombe and make sacrifices with jobs and everything else. And then when we come back for the training ground, a totally new development for Martin and all of us at Homer Green and everyone else. We had to sort the training facilities out, which was very raw and bordering in not that professional, but we made it work. And as a team, looking at where Wycombe Wanderers are now, they're firmly in people's thoughts all the time now by getting into the championship. And to be quite honest with you, they only needed, a point to stay up, and the amount of points that they lost on the last minute of the game in the first 10 games, any one of them wins would have kept them up in the championship. That would have been a huge ordeal to be in the championship. But to survive and be a first division team as long as they've been now is testament to the club and the way they run the books and the way they run the club now. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
We wouldn't do any set pieces, and all he done was motivated the players, and every single player that played in that team every week knew they had to do the business or they weren't in the team the following week. So all the other stuff, tactics, everything else went out the window. He just knew how to keep the team happy and keep the team motivated, and I think it's still the same to his present day, whether he's managing the Premier League or the National League for Ireland or anybody. He keeps it simple, and we respected him for that.
I mean, I think when I joined, we were in the conference, we had a good run under Jim. That year, I think we sort of went about 20 games undefeated in the league, and I think we were sort of pushing a little bit for actual getting promotion. And then I think we lost in the quarter-final of the FA Trophy that year, and our season sort of just drifted away. So we had a good nucleus, but probably lads who'd been there a while. And then, obviously, when Martin came in, we suddenly started having a bit of a nucleus of younger fellas, maybe a little bit more hungrier, had a bit of a point to prove. I think that was mentioned at the dinner the other night, and we got lucky in a way that the group came together when it did. Everyone got on really well, and it was a gradual progression. It wasn't a sort of immediate. It took us 2-3 years or whatever it was in the end to actually get into the Football League once Martin had taken over.
I have to say, when I look back, I think, well, maybe I was a bit lucky. I don't know, because we've had some really good goalkeepers. I mean, Paul Barron, who went on to play for Arsenal and Aston Villa, he was a good goalkeeper. He came there as a young chap, and he didn't displace me, and some would have said he should have done, perhaps. I don't know. But he didn't displace me, and we've had several, really. Even there was a goalkeeper called John Pratt, who was their reserve goalkeeper, and I would say, no disrespect to John, but he was not the best squad goalkeeper we've had at Wycombe, and he went to Reading because I was offered a contract with Jack Mansell, the manager then, because they were short of goalkeepers, and it wouldn't have paid me to have gone there, the money they offered me. And John Pratt went there, and he said, well, I'll go there because they need a goalkeeper desperately. He was a teacher, so he could go back to his job at any time. And he went there, and believe it or not, he played, and you can check the records on this, he played 40 games for the first team. And then he come back to Wycombe afterwards when they didn't renew his contract, and he was second string again. But goalkeepers are important, and obviously Brian could have got any goalkeeper in the country, amateur goalkeeper, but he stuck with me.
Martin loved us to attack. He wanted us to score goals, and he set his team up to score goals, and we had a lot of good attacking players. We had good defenders as well, don't get me wrong, but we had some great attacking footballers in that team. I mean, you can go on and on about naming them. I mean, you've got Steve Guppy, Simon Stapleton, Steve Thompson, Dave Carroll, brilliant footballers, and really, like I've said before, really enjoying themselves. The good thing about it as well at Wycombe was the other clubs didn't really know much about these sort of players because it was their first season in the Football League, so they didn't really know a lot about them. And they went onto a football pitch at the start of a game. They always had a smile on their face.
Simon Garner, who of course was our most recent contributor, thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex Players Association, who we've spoken to recently, celebrating 30 years of being in the Football League. Some other brilliant names that you'd have heard there as well from a number of decades. I'm very pleased to say we can speak to Edward Walker next. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us. Someone here to speak with you.
Hello, Edward. It's Bob Massey here from Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Trust.
Oh, hello.
How are you? Yeah.
Not too bad, thank you.
Well, thank you for answering your phone. It's all very scary stuff. We've never done this live before, but I've got some good news for you.
Oh, right. Okay.
You are the winner of this month's QBC Quarters Ball Club draw.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's amazing. Ah, okay. That's a surprise.
Well done. And the amount that you've won is £922.40p. That's £922.40p.
Oh, wow. That's brilliant. Oh, brilliant. That is a good late Christmas present. Thank you very much.
No problem. Delighted. Edward, I don't think we know each other, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of how long have you been a Wycombe fan, and are you a trust member and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I can't remember when I joined the trust, but I've been a Wycombe fan since the 90s, since the Martin O'Neill days. Had a season ticket since then. So probably 30 odd years. Probably 30 years this year since I've had a season ticket, and I sit just below the Bill Turnbull gantry in the main stand.
The Frank Adams.
Stand on the terrace, in the Frank Adams.
Excellent. And who do you come along to the games with?
Usually my mate Damien.
Damien, what's Damien's surname? Let's give him a shout out.
Damien Green. So if he's listening.
That's not the former Attorney General's name.
Dominic Grieve.
Nearly. Wasn't close. So you've been you're a trust member, and how long have you been playing the Quarters Ball Club?
Not that long, actually. I decided to start playing just to support the trust a bit.
Excellent.
Bit more and put some money into their coffers. So I'm very surprised to win.
Now they're supporting you.
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to do with your winnings?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought. Probably pay for Christmas.
Yes, don't we know it? And well, congratulations. Alan Cecil, who I'm sure you know, will be in contact shortly to make arrangements to pay that money straight into your bank account. So you should have it in the next couple of days. But many congratulations. And just for perhaps people who perhaps haven't been to Adams Park at all, or perhaps haven't been for a while, one of the things we're trying to get the word out there at the moment is that it's a great sort of place to sort of come along and experience what a match day is like at a sort of like a family community club. Is that something that you sort of agree with?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a unique club in that respect, and I think actually all the facilities that there are, kind of people and have a drink before the game is much better than it ever used to be. So yeah, I mean, my brother comes along to games quite frequently. We normally meet up beforehand, and there's plenty going on around the ground. So it's good. In fact, I usually quite often, not necessarily this time of year, but also ride my bike to the ground, and it's good that there's places to put my bike, and it's just a good community feel for the, and I would recommend anybody who wants to get down to Adams Park, and if they haven't been for a while, I think it has changed, and the facilities have improved a lot over the last few years.
Brilliant. Well, many congratulations. £922.40. Well done. Thank you for playing the QBC game. If anyone else out there wants to play along, please go to our website. That's wwst.org.uk. So that's wwst.org.uk. And you can play in future months. But Edward, for the time being, congratulations. And no doubt see you perhaps on, when is the next game? It's on New Year's Day. So hopefully see you there.
Bristol Rovers.
Absolutely. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that we can sort of turn things around and get 3 points on the board, a bit like tomorrow night.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay.
Lovely to talk to you. Thank you, Ed.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Edward Walker, I generally think had no idea why we were calling. That was really nice to surprise him. I don't think we can do that every week on the show, but it's really nice to be able to give someone £922.40. And Bob, remind us how we can find out more if we'd like to be involved in future QBC draws.
If you'd like to take part, it's done once a month. You have the deadline each month is the 25th, so this month it was Christmas Day. But it's £2 a ball. You can play by direct debit, or you can come to the trust table on a match day and buy individual balls. But most people these days now like to do it via direct debit. £2 a ball to play, as I say. The money all goes towards trust funds, and I've explained where that money goes. If you'd like to take part, please go to our website, WWST, Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Trust, wwst.org.uk. That's wwst.org.uk.
Thank you very much for being on the show this week. Wish you a Happy New Year.
My pleasure.
And all the best
Happy
to Alan,
New
of course,
Year
as well. And look forward to chatting to you and finding out more about the Trust on future shows.
Thank you, Colin. Been a pleasure to be here.
Bob Massie is the chairman of Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Trust, speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound. And congratulations again to Edward, who is the QBC monthly draw winner.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Second part of the Wycombe Wanderers show still to come. We'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield speaking to Sam Avery after the Exeter game, and we'll look ahead to the trip to Leyton Orient tomorrow. And of course, as mentioned a little earlier on, there's a big game at Adams Park on New Year's Day, which the club will be definitely after your support for, especially in the recent run of form. But first, we'll turn our attention to Wycombe Wanderers Women. That Bob mentioned the Trust very much looking after. Craig's with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Compliments of the season to you.
Hello, Colin. Yes, and I hope you had a festive time on the 25th.
It was very good indeed. Thank you. I'm still not hungry after that. Eating chicken for a while. But we spoke to you. Was it last week? It was last week, wasn't it? On the show, and the Wycombe Wanderers are having a mid-season break currently.
They are. The girls are having a well-deserved break, and they're having a deserved break from their media duties as well. But, safe to say there's plenty of things in place for them to sort of take the initiative themselves to sort of get ready. I'm sure we're going to go over the fixtures soon, because we've just had a batch of fixtures released coming up in sort of January. But we've had an earlier game booked in on the 7th. And we didn't think we'd have a game that early. We thought our first game would be the 14th. So we've got one training session squeezed and ready for next week, and then the girls will be back flying again up until when the end of the season finishes.
It must be really nice actually for them to kind of have a bit of a reset and assess how the season's gone so far, and look ahead to the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's just put it into perspective as well. These are girls that all have full-time jobs, or they're at college or uni, or they've got lots of commitments outside of just playing football on a Sunday and training twice a week, and these girls take it as seriously as a full-time professional would do. So I can't imagine what it would be like if we had, a game like the men have had to go through, and a game on Boxing Day, and then a game tomorrow night, and then a game on Monday. So this rest is needed for them, not only like mentally but physically. And then we've got a full schedule all the way through till normally around April, and that's where the season will finish.
And is it true there are 2 Christmas parties?
There might have been 2 Christmas parties. There might have been, yeah. That's possible.
Always after some behind the scenes news.
Yeah, no, there was 2 Christmas parties. There was one with everyone, and then there was, obviously, as you know, we've got a number of players that are not 18. So I think there was a family one, and then there was an older one, shall we say? That was, and less about said that the better, I think.
Second showbiz element of the show this week. We're doing well for showbiz news. You mentioned fixture release, so tell us what's to come in the new year.
So we've got another away game on the 7th of January against Oxford City. Had a good result there last season, winning 4-2, I think it was. Katie Riddington scored a hat-trick. So a really good ground for us. And then our first home game since November, so quite a while, will be the 14th of January against Woodley. So quite a local one. Quite a few ex-Wycombe players have gone to go and join Woodley. So it's a great one to kick off life back at Burnham for us. Then we're away at Eastleigh on the 21st. And then on the 28th, we are definitely at home in the League Cup. We're just not sure yet on our opponents. That's going to either be Eversley and California, which I know is a bit of a mouthful, or Eastleigh again. So there's a possibility we might have a back-to-back against Eastleigh, Cup and League, or a home game against Eversley and California.
Because the Cup has been really nice, isn't it? Obviously, they have the FA Cup run, but also in the League Cup, it looks like they're going really well as well. And the County Cup, of course.
Yeah, County Cup was a close one. Abingdon only just beat us in the last minute. That was practically going to penalties, and the FA Cup, obviously, we got knocked out on the final qualifying round. But the League Cup was kind to us last year, semi-final last year, and a defeat to Ascot. But then obviously we righted that wrong and beat Ascot earlier this year in the Cup, which was sort of a nice touch for us. So, there's nothing really stopping us at the moment in the Cup. I think the girls feel really confident. I know the management team, would love to win something. If this is our 2 years hard work from this new management team with Carl, and I think the League Cup is certainly a realistic target moving forward.
And obviously, you've seen a lot of them. Do you really kind of notice the development in the team?
Yeah, you do. You notice from year on year, and even from sort of game to game sometimes when Carl tries something or different, or he's waiting a player to come back from injury, or he's playing a certain system. You can really see. And I mean, at the beginning of the season, we lost that game to Ascot, and then that was it. We were off on a 6-game unbeaten run, which was, 2 draws and then 4 wins, and there was 3 or 4 clean sheets in there as well. And, you only have to compare that to this time last season. And we've already got more points on the board throughout just half of the season, and as we had for the whole of last season. So, people can take my word for it and how well the girls are progressing and how well they're developing. But the proof is in black and white, as they say. It's you can just see it for yourself. And as well, like our coverage as well of like, you can see some action as well from highlights and stuff that we do. But some of the football the girls are playing is really good stuff. And for anyone thinking about coming down to Burnham, or to maybe following us to maybe an away game like a Woodley or an Oxford, something a bit local, then they're going to see some really good football, Colin. That's for sure. And
something else that really comes across just from speaking to the players alone is that, and sort of obviously following their results, is the togetherness and the team spirit that they show. I think it was last season, wasn't it? There were a number of games where they were sort of 4-0 down and really came back into those games.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, is it, having to try and wrestle back 3 or 4 goals? But they really did. I think that kind of shows how the team has grown. Like, we were giving teams 3 or 4 goals head start and then only just losing, which just shows that ability is there. It was just a bit of a slow start. Whereas, this season, that togetherness is still there, and with Carl's added to that, and we're now not giving teams that initiative. We're not giving them that head start for us to then catch up. We are the ones going on the front foot, or if we are going one behind, we're pegging teams back. So, yeah, the togetherness is important, and it's been a massive part of what Carl and the girls have been building over the last 2 years.
And speaking to the players, it's really nice to ask them, but it'd be nice to ask you as well. What would you say are the real strengths of the team this season?
You've pretty much just touched on it, just how together they are. Like, before games now, like Coffee Club, and that's big for. I got to give Bobby a shout out for that. Coffee Club, she really, really wanted that to be a thing, and she really, really, really wanted that to be just part of the pre-game, structure. Whether we're away, she'll find a coffee shop really close to the ground, or if we're at home, we'll often meet at Burnham and have a drink in the bar there before. Coffee drink, that is, not an alcoholic drink. But yeah, I think, that togetherness and that preparation, that's been huge for them from often on and off the pitch. Because I know how much goes into it on the pitch and how detailed, instructions are. And Bobby's taken that leadership, and as captain now, she takes that incredibly seriously. And you can, that's also maybe part of the results as well, how the girls are together off the pitch and on the pitch.
Well, they're obviously really focused and really driven as well, and that comes across. We touched last week on some of the social media, and it's great to see the videos, even of just them coming out to start a game. You can tell that they're really well prepared.
Yeah, absolutely, and they some of them will play up to that camera as well when they see that. Others will shy away a little bit, but that's the personalities. That's what we want to see. But they're ready, they're together, and I know they're all really looking forward to the second half of the season now. And
that's something that's come across so well from speaking to them as well. It's obviously the individual characters, but how they come together collectively as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're some of them are from really different backgrounds, different ages, like we've already sort of spoke about over the last few weeks. But when they get on that pitch, it's they all know what to expect from each other and what they demand from themselves as well. But no, second half of the season is hopefully it could possibly be very exciting for us. We keeping our feet on the ground. We don't want last season was nobody expected it to be like that, but this season I think everyone's a lot more positive and a lot more optimistic about where we can go in the next 3 or 4 months.
So some of those teams that you mentioned who are coming up in the new year, are there particular games that that we can really look forward to in terms of hopefully getting good results against?
I mean, all of them really. I think Oxford are in our league, so we beat them last season. Woodley have just got promoted this season. They had a good start, but they're sort of kind of wobbling a little bit now. But that'll be a very good sort of localish derby. Like I said, there's been a number of girls that last season left us for Woodley, and I think that'll be a good one. Eastleigh we've played a couple of times and beat, and then depending on if we get Eastleigh again, but Eversley in California, I think they're in the same league as our under-23. So again, that's a game we should be winning. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be having a clean sweep in January. I think if the players were looking at this, which I'm sure they are, and I'm sure the management team are as well, they can. There's no reason why we shouldn't be having 4 wins to kick off 2024.
And it'd be unfair to ask you if there are any particular players that we should be looking out for to be doing particularly well. Are there any players that we should be looking out for that might be doing particularly well?
Oh, I didn't think you were going to ask me that, Colin.
Don't want to put you on the spot or anything.
Oh, why not? Why not?
Just say all of them. Say all of them.
But all of them, Colin. They are all brilliant. And I know I'm going to sit on the fence here, and it might hurt myself by sitting on the fence. But yeah, all of them. They're all great. And even the ones that have been here, or the new ones, should I say, the new ones that have come in, they've hit the ground running, and they've all brought up their quality to another level, and you can actually see that which is for them probably quite pleasing, and certainly for the management team to see them lifting their standards week to week and month to month, and just constantly improving.
Very diplomatic. You've done well. Looking forward to speaking more of the players and the management team as well. And wish Wycombe Wanderers Women obviously all the success for the remainder of the season. Thank you so much for your time, and remind us where we can find out more about the teams.
The teams, well, yes, of course. I mean, we have a youth team as well, under 23s and under 18s, which you can find at Wycombe Wanderers Youth on Instagram and Twitter, or X, as we should probably refer to it these days. And again, for the main team, for the women's team, the first team, Wycombe Wanderers Women on X, shall I say, and Instagram as well. They're both of our main platforms.
Well, wish you a Happy New Year. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much, Colin. A Happy New Year for a couple of days.
Thank you so much indeed. And same to you. Craig from Wycombe Wanderers Women speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound. Finally on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll turn our attention to on the pitch. Manager Matt Bloomfield was speaking to Sam Avery after the game at Exeter on Boxing Day.
Matt, a disappointing result this afternoon. What went wrong today for your side?
I thought we were just off it, actually, if I'm honest, first half. I thought we were just half a yard away from seconds when they dropped down, just weren't quite compact and condensed in our shape enough. I thought we just played a little bit too open, and ultimately those little moments then started to feed into a little bit of momentum for Exeter. We corrected a couple of bits at half time, and I thought we were better second half, especially then we made the changes. I thought we looked more of a threat. Actually, their goal came at a time where I thought we were in the ascendancy a little bit. KP had a chance, and so that was ultimately really disappointing. And then to come so close at the end. Sad's disallowed goal. Dalo, when he hits the cross of the bar on the post, and then the penalty, just obviously the margins in winning and losing in football are invariably very close. and as we know, recently they've been going against us, so we have to make sure we turn that tide.
As we know, Exeter are a very energetic side. They proved that on the opening day of the season. Is that what you just struggled to get to grips with in the first half?
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, obviously the games come quick from Saturday. They had an extra 24 hours recovery, but there's no excuses. I felt like we freshened it up with a couple of fresh faces ready to go, but we had enough experience and know-how out on the pitch to make sure we were right in our shape. So I thought that they looked they had an extra spring in their step first half, but like I say, if you look at the chances we created, Max, to be fair, has made a couple of really, really good saves. You have to be fair about that. I didn't like us as much today as I did on Saturday, but we've still gone and created some really, really good openings that unfortunately we weren't able to take.
Particularly at the end, you mentioned the disallowed goal, Del Taylor hit the crossbar, the penalty as well. You've had onslaughts in games during this run, and another one this time really late on today.
Yeah, we kind of made a few different adjustments that I thought worked in our favour today, and there was an onslaught at the end. Like we said a couple of times, it's the disallowed goal. Dalo, when he's hit that strike and hit the frame of the post, the penalty at the end. It's so close between. Said to the boys there, the euphoria in the home dressing room off the back of a missed penalty, and what the despair was in our dressing room, and despair would have been in their dressing room. It's such fine margins. We've not been steamrolled since early on in the season when we lost the first two games, and such small margins have been going against us, and we need to make sure we turn that in our favour. If not, it's the same old story for me.
You've seen obviously the reaction at the end from the Exeter players and the staff and the fans as well. Can you use that as motivation? They've obviously been on a winless run. At the end of that, do you think we want that? We want to feel like that full time?
Of course we do. We had that moment at Derby, and we felt that was the springboard what we wanted to use, and the performance on Saturday I thought was very good, and everything points that it should have been a home win. And then they had that moment at the end. They've had that euphoric moment with a missed penalty and a home win can bring. So we want more of those moments. It's extremely disappointing for me and frustrating for me to see the players and supporters go through a time like this that they have, but we have to show the character and the desire to turn it around, and I know we will, because ultimately we've been in every single game during this run. We've been in every single one, and not enough have gone in our favour, and we have to make sure that we turn more in our favour.
Another quick turnaround, of course, Leyton Orient away in a couple of days' time. What do you make of them as an opponent?
Yeah, good team. We had a real good game against them earlier on in the season. I thought it was a real good game. We're going to have to be prepared and ready to go. It might look like a couple of changes to freshen up the legs, because it's been two physically tough games for us in quick succession. We've got the drive home. We'll watch the game back, make sure we're prepared for Orient. We've got to be ready to go Friday. So, at this time of season, I think it's probably a good thing that we've got a game to bounce back so quickly.
There's 4 changes going into this one, and welcome back came Vincent Young, his first start since his injury in mid-September. You're welcoming players back from injury, but it's during a tough run of fixtures that are all in quick succession. So managing the players is even more difficult than it would be given any other winter.
Yeah, because ultimately you want to send what you believe is your strongest team out as often as you possibly can, but we're having to be really cautious with people who are coming back from, especially hamstring injuries that Kane has and Vokesy has. So we're having to be really careful with those guys. We had lost Chris Farino to illness this morning on the morning of the game, so we had to have a last-minute shuffle around. So it's part and parcel of the challenges of the job. It is what it is. We thought we'd freshen it up enough to keep the continuity from Saturday, but come into what was going to be obviously a different environment and a different style again. So a disappointing day for us, but it could have been so close to something different.
Real nice to hear from the manager. Again, of course, positive, lots to look forward to, hopefully. It sounds like some of the players coming back. He spoke, if you heard last week's show, to Phil. It sounds like with the January transfer window on the way very soon as well, there could be some good news there as well. But as you've been hearing, 11 games in League One without a win. Hopefully that will change at Leyton Orient tomorrow night. 7:45 kickoff. You'll hear the whole game live here on Wycombe Sound and on Wanderers TV. Phil will be back from his Christmas break. Missed him on the show this week, of course, but he'll be bringing you the whole game live with build-up from the hour before, and then of course on New Year's Day hopefully there'll be fireworks for the right reasons when Bristol Rovers visit. That of course is a 3 o'clock kickoff, and that of course followed by Burton Albion away Lots to look forward to there as well. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you've enjoyed our in-between Christmas and New Year edition. There'll be a podcast version of that available probably from around tomorrow lunchtime. Look forward to speaking with you more next week, and hopefully we'll have some more positive news up the week.